Good morning, Professor and guys. We are Group 8 and we are doing the presentation of Paper 12, Child Marriage, Climate Vulnerability, and Natural Disasters in Coastal Bangladesh. Okay, our presentation is divided into 5 main sections, and I'm LIU KEYI, and I will do the first part of the presentation. I will introduce the issues and research background of this paper. Okay. First of all, for the problem statement section, the introduction focuses on the general problem and problem situation of the study. Okay, and for the for the general problem of this article, the child marriage, its effects, and consequences. Okay, based on this article uses a mixed methods approach to study the nature and the factors associated with child marriage in 8 climate-affected villages in coastal Bangladesh. The next section is the study background. For this section, there are 3 main key points. Okay, the first, a brief introduction to the issues of child marriage is given in the background. The seriousness of the problem of child marriage can be seen in the text. Child marriage is a global problem that affects millions of adolescent girls in Africa and Asia. And also, the economic insecurity and poverty are often cited as the main determinants of child marriage. Child marriage occurs mainly in very poor countries and regions, such as Niger, Central African Republic, etc. All of the which are also changed by climate change. Moreover, married young girls are always used a way to cope with economic hardship. The occurrence of natural disasters increases the vulnerability of families to poverty and often leads to a loss of family welfare. In climate vulnerable South Asia countries with dowry practices, early marriage of female members can help to save the additional dowry costs associated with older marriages. In other words, the marriage of underage girls may be an adaptation strategy to adopted by households to cope with climate change. Lastly, the research objectives of this article were identified. It shows that in the case of Bangladesh, most studies have focused on the origins of child marriage in relation to poverty and dowry, family owner, etc. In contrast, environmental factors such as climate change as a coordinate of child marriage have received little attention in these studies. Therefore, that sets the stage for the research aspects and objectives of this paper. In summary, child marriage is still prevalent in some poor regions and countries. And this problem affects millions of adolescent girls. In this paper, Bangladesh is selected as a research context and attempt to made to explain the nature and correlates of child marriage in 8 climate-affected villages in coastal Bangladesh. This is part 1. So the next to my roommate LINZHE. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is LINZHE. I'm a Chinese student of MDS. Today, my presentation part is about the literature review of paper 12. First, in this article, 86 papers were cited, with 19 grade literature accounting for 22%. The literature cited in the review includes documents from global international organizations, the documents of UNICEF and UNFPA, as well as service reports from Bangladesh governments. Besides, academic literature is cited in several areas: child marriage, laws in Bangladesh, climate change, the social context of rural Bangladesh, and the relationship between dowry and women's social status. Okay, next one, please. Actually, I really like this literature review in terms of structure. The researchers organized the literature review clearly and sorted out previous studies and empirical measures from three aspects: the impact of climate change on gender, the nature and course of child marriage, and the natural situation in Bangladesh. Then carried out the latest research on child marriage. This highlights the reason and the importance of the research. The article deliberately sets a framework for the literature review, defeating readers in understanding the relationship between natural disasters and child marriage. Let the readers know the key to the problem. In addition, the authors concluded from the literature review that child marriage is influenced by economic and non-economic factors, with the non-economic factors being based on the social cultural context. Finally, the impact of natural disasters on child marriage is introduced, which is the focus of this paper. According to the literature review, it's clear that child marriage is a risk response mechanism adopted by families when facing the common vulnerability of climate change. Natural calamities affect women more than men. Thus, overall, the structure of this literature review is very clear. Well, about the blank part in this literature review, first, the analysis of cultural norms regarding the direction of marriage payments is entirely qualitative, describing the process of early marriage decision-making, but does not provide quantitative data on dowry, especially the impact of dowry on marriage in the well-developed region. And second, the link between climate vulnerability and child marriage in coastal areas has not been fully proven. Okay, that's all. Thanks for your listening. And then the next part is the theoretical framework, which will be presented by my team member Li Teng.
Hi there, my name is Li Teng. I will bring you through the theoretical framework and conceptual framework of this research paper. The objective of this research paper is to figure out the natural and correlates between child marriage and climate change in Bangladesh. According to the literature review, the author categorized 5 nature courses of this research, which are rise in female school enrollment, that has raised the opportunity cost of early marriage, and patriarchal norms. And in the economics point of view, poverty and custom of dowry are the nature courses. From the view of social cultural view, younger brides have potential value, that younger brides are looked for the marriage market because they are perceived to have greater sexuality, a longer period of fertility, and be more abundant and easier to be controlled. Let's look at the climate change side. Actually, the author conclude that in climate change in Bangladesh, that affect women more than men in 3 aspects, which are increased dowry death among women, natural disaster lowers the life expectancy of women and limits women adaptation and mediation capacity. The main variables are premarital, social, economic, and environmental settings of women, and disaster risk zone segmented into 3 categories, which are low risk, middle risk, and high risk, based on the 3 criteria: distance from the sea, village location within 1 to 10 kilometers of a flash flood, prone river, and recent disaster events. The empirical methods are actually conducted into mixed approach, which are qualitative method, specifically in-depth, open-ended interview, and mixed gender-focused group discussion (FGGs) that focus on 4 themes, which are poverty, natural disaster, family honor, and dowry. And the qualitative method specifically conducting structured, close-ended interview. That's all for my part. I will pass it to you. I will pass it to my teammate, Keru. Next.
Hi everyone, my name is LIU KERU. I will introduce about data and methodology. So quantitative data were obtained from 4 coastal districts of Bangladesh. The nature of data is non-linear data structure. The symbol method and symbol size we can see from the table. There are 3 symbol methods. The first one is in-depth open-ended interview, and the symbol size is 75. The second one is structured close-ended interviews. The symbol size is 353. And the second one is focus group discussion. The symbol size is 8. So the noted descriptive pattern is in-depth interviews limited to married women where each FJD comprise 6 married individuals, both men and women. Next page, please. The research methodology and the method. The text data were analyzed following the methodology proposed by a trader Sterling. A trader Sterling's semantic analysis approach starts with an open coding method, in which small codes are used to classify certain quotes and experiences and together them. The method is using mixed method. For this method, qualitative sample selection on a pre-existing quantitative surveys helped ensure trustworthiness of the qualitative research through prolonged engagement. The next part is well introduced by my friend Chen Feng.
My name is Chen Feng. I will present about the methodological challenge and limitation of the study. So the methodological challenge is about the author conducted the qualitative survey comprised individual recorded from coastal Bangladesh, and the audio recording were first transcribed in Bengali language and then translated into English. Then the text data were analyzed following the methodology proposed by Patrick Sterling's thematic analysis approach, which start with the open coding method, in which the small codes are used to classify certain codes and experience. So in which it will subsequently cluster together for the teams, and then the sets of teams are then grouped together for further analysis. So for the limitation of study, the future study in should we receive the issue of climate change include in which induce the migration to cities is contributing to child marriage, as migrant unmarried girl owners is at risk in urban location. Besides, the future research can also evaluate the competing explanation for child marriage in climate-affected regions in developing countries with high prevalence of the problem but differential cultural practice governing marriage timing and payments. Next, please. So this part is about the finding and results. First, the study suggests that there is positive correlation between the climate vulnerabilities and prevalence of child marriage. In fact, the marriage count increased sharply after the natural disaster, such as flood and cyclone in Bangladesh. Besides, there are many poor families force the eldest daughter into the child marriage for their economic survival strategy. For example, the unmarried daughters, particularly in those in large family, are considered a burden for parents when they can no longer afford to feed them. So, moreover, the fear of physical mature daughter brings dishonor to the family, also lead to a child marriage. So this study also found a contradiction. This study did not indicate dowry-related concern to be the primary driver of child marriage in southwestern Bangladesh, which contrast to Elston, which found that the cost of dowry is positive associated with girls' age of marriage. So this is all our presentation. Thanks for listening.